Another thing that's going to disappear between now and 2040 is this, what I call the circulation finds culture. I started collecting coins with Whitman albums in 1963. They were first introduced in the 1930s by Whitman Coin Products in Racine, Wisconsin. The album, it started out as a board, it became an album in 1940. The Red Book came in 1946. And between the album and the Red Book, that's all you needed to get started, and that's basically how virtually, it looks like everybody in this room probably started, except for a YN sitting in the back row. She has to tell us how they're making their way forward from this point, but when I was younger, that was it. And those Whitman albums defined our universe. You opened it up and you counted the holes, and that's how many coins I needed to put a set together. And if I wanted a little more background, I'd open the Red Book. My copy is 1965. That was the first one I bought. And I still have it, and I still treasure it. And I read it from cover to cover, if you can believe that, because I was just amazed that it existed. And by this, by these two products being in existence, this has trained us. And it's this culture that has carried us through from basically when I was a kid in 1963 to now. But looking around the room again, I won't be around forever, you won't be around forever, and the way of thinking that came about because of the Whitman album and because of the Red Book will go by the boards. And what will replace it? Well, I'll address that a little bit further on, but something will. It's a good thing, though, that people like me, people like you are loyal to numismatics. I mean, nobody in 1963 or 1964, when I started, would ever believe that I would still be doing it when I'm 60 years old, when I've had a career of 37 years in it, and yada, yada, yada. I imagine in your families it's probably the same thing. There's a little bit of puzzlement about why so-and-so has been doing this, and but it's been very rewarding for me, and I assume it's been very rewarding for you. The environment that was projected by the circulation finds culture will never disappear entirely, but it will not be the dominant culture. I mean, we had a wonderful revival of it in 1999 with the introduction of the state quarter program. The U.S. Mint was claiming that 140 million people were collecting them, and there probably, they probably were some 140 million people, setting them at least a couple aside. And so it will never disappear entirely. But the number of collectors is shrinking. It actually has been shrinking since 1964. 1964 was the culmination of what they called the roll in the bag boom. And it was just before the Coinage Act of 1965 that took silver out of the dimes and quarters and reduced it in the half dollars. But the circulation of numismatic news in 1964 was over 80,000. Our competitors at CoinWorld, their circulation was over about 250,000. And those were numbers that have never been equaled since. And we have been in a slow fade since 1964. But thank goodness for them, for us, that all of you are extremely loyal. Once you were here, you never left, and it's much appreciated. If you want to double check, independently, my circulation numbers and what have you, you might not have immediate access, but all you have to do is open a Red Book and look at the mintages of proof sets, mint sets, the popularly sold coin products that used to be 3 million, 4 million a year. Now they're lucky to get 600,000, 700,000. So the numbers are not friendly in that regard. One of the factors that has concealed the relative decline of the number of collectors over these many years has been the advent of interest in gold and silver. After the Coinage Act of 1965 was passed, in 1967 the Treasury decontrolled the price of silver. You might not even realized it or remembered it, but the Treasury used to have so much silver they could say, this is the price, that's it, no ifs, ands, or buts. We'll sell you as many ounces as you want, and it can't go above $1.29.29. Well, they kind of eventually ran out of silver, and they eventually couldn't keep control of the price. And so that started our first silver boom. And silver more than doubled, well, approximately doubled in that first boom in the late 60s. And we have waves of it ever since. And as we get excited about these increases in price, new people come in, they rush down to the local coin shop, they want to buy some. And so this cash flow has been very helpful. Dealers who buy and sell precious metals have a wonderful addition to the cash flow of their business by, accommodating people. And so in this instance, the relative decline of numbers of hardcore collectors has been masked by the fact that those who are there with the precious metal buyers come in are spending more and more and more dollars each and every year. You know that Heritage is a major numismatic firm. It's also in other businesses, but they're on the verge of becoming $1 billion a year sales corporation. Now, can you believe that? When I started as editor of Numismatic News, we had maybe a half a dozen numismatic firms, numismatic auction firms that conducted sales. And they were about 10 million a year apiece. Now, one auction, one major numismatic auction adds up to more than all the coins that were sold at auction in some of those years, 40 years ago. It's just amazing. But it is basically fewer and fewer players are playing with more and more money. So for those of us who are still here, it's wonderful because we're having a great time.
If you like this video, we're sure you'll love these 3 videos above, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. CoinWeek is the #1 source online for all things numismatic. Visit www.coinweek.com to take your hobby to the next level.